Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da. All right. Hey, guys, what's up? It's Dennis here from the Denver Creative Group, and I'm talking to Sergio Nazzaro. He's one of our premier real estate agents in the Denver area working for 8Z Real Estate. I just want to say thanks for stopping by and thanks for watching today. This is a brand new project that we've been working on. We at the Denver Creative Group provide a variety of visual marketing services for real estate agents around the Front Range, and we're trying to move more into also providing a variety of digital marketing services as well. Any services that could really ultimately help our agents stand out online and be as authentic as possible and leverage everything that social media and digital marketing has to offer, because there's so much of it. But the whole point of this show right here is to talk to the actual real estate agents in the areas that we're servicing, get to understand them, and get to understand what they've been doing, where they come from, and specifically what they're doing with their digital marketing efforts and how that's helping them. Sergio here is very active online. He's very active on social media. He's probably one of the most serious agents I've seen in terms of how they take their content marketing and digital marketing seriously. So I just want to jump in real quick. And Sergio, if you wouldn't mind, first of all, can you just give us a quick bio about yourself and let us know really who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, so I'm Sergio. I'm with 8Z Real Estate out here in Denver, Colorado. I grew up on the East Coast in New Jersey, and then my parents were kind enough to move me all over the country until we finally settled here in Denver. Graduated here and went to the Air Force Academy. So I served in the military for 11 years. After getting out of the military, after my deployment to Afghanistan, I decided that I wanted to continue to serve people in some form or capacity. So I started a CrossFit gym with a couple of buddies. And while I was doing that, I was going back to get my MBA in entrepreneurship from the University of Colorado. And then I went and got a 9-to-5 job with a tech company, realized that I didn't want to do that. And I quit my job and hopped into real estate.
Wow. What did you do in tech?
I was an account manager. So I worked for a called Wazi Digital that was really focused on content delivery and monetization.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. And that gives me a lot of context already in terms of, how you respect content marketing and digital marketing in general, because you already have like a foundational understanding of it. So that's cool. So you've just been all around the place. I know I saw your video business card that you did with us, and you talked about there's like a really crucial moment in your life, I guess, that really kind of made you start to think about or at least made you like really conscious about, housing opportunities and stuff like that. When your mom and your dad, you guys had a house, you guys were in Texas, right?
We were living down in Texas because that's where my mom's from. Mm-hmm. And we had been renting for a long time. And finally, we were getting ready to buy a home, and it was a brand new build. And as a family, we were excited. So we told our landlord that we weren't going to be renewing the lease. And at the time, it was stated income. And the real estate agent that we were working with told my dad that, in order to get this home, you're going to have to make this amount of money. So my dad, took his advice. He put down the amount that was needed for his income. But what he didn't tell us was that they were going to verify his employment and his income with his employer. And when he did that, my dad lost his job. My mom lost her job. And we ended up homeless.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I watched my mom console my dad. And as a kid, that's, very strange to watch that dynamic because I just hadn't seen that before. Mm-hmm. And I just felt really helpless watching that. And I promised myself, I was like, you know what? I don't know how, but that's not going to happen again, And it didn't come to me until I started to really, that was my why. That is my why. I don't want that to happen to anybody else. I don't want people to end up homeless or in a bad scenario because somebody else had ulterior motives and didn't put their clients' needs first.
Man, no, how old were you when that happened? When you went through that? Like about 15 or so, it seems like.
Oh, like 12.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's pretty young.
Man, no, I understand that. I had a very similar situation. My dad passed away, and my mom, she was impoverished. She always had jobs, and she was just constantly renting them. It was the same situation. I was in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and it was just tumultuous. We would go house to house to house. So I understand that. I actually related to that when I was watching your video because I've been there before. So that's cool though, because most real estate agents I've seen, or at least not, I'm not gonna say most, but I've seen that there's a lot of real estate agents that, they do it on the side. They do it because it's a sales job, because they have sales skills or they have account management skills or whatever it is. And so they see it as an easy thing to step into that is leveraging their experience tangentially. It's good to see that you actually have like a core connection to it though, because I feel like that's, I don't know, for me at least, that's what I'm gonna look for. I'm still renting myself. Luckily we've been, with the same people for like 6 years now, and it's pretty chill, but we're getting to that point. And I don't know, at least for me, I feel like that's a huge consideration to make. And be able to relate to the agent that actually cares about you, and it's going to work for you, not the one that's just going to sit there and take your money and leave and complain about it.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on something on the head, right? As you start this process and you potentially go to look for your first home, you should interview your agent and understand their why. I think that's going to be very telling for you to get a real picture of who they are. I mean, you could ask that question and somebody could lie to you, but I think you'd be able to see through that as well. But if they can, explain to you why they're in it and why they're doing it, I think that gives you a lot of insight into the level of service that you're going to receive from somebody.
For sure. No, absolutely. No. And that's a really good point to make. I don't know how many people actually think about interviewing their agents. I feel like that's such a lot, at least from my experience, the way that my mom always dealt with it whenever, we would deal with that. She was always intimidated. And I don't know, I felt like it was always an intimidating experience. And I feel like for a lot of buyers, it might be at least thinking about it. So having an agent that's personable and can communicate, on an emotional level and on an existential level is really important. So how do you, I guess, recommend, like you were saying, they could lie to you. How would you say, like, if you were a buyer, then how would you vet your agent?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few basic questions that you should be asking any agent, right? How many homes have you sold within the last, let's just say 6 to 12 months? Right. On top of that, how do you, why did you get into the industry? And I think that's a big reason, right? Mm-hmm. That's going to tell you a lot about the individual. I think a lot of it is just your general comfort and feel about somebody, right? So the first question I told you to ask is how many homes have they sold in 6 to 12 months, right? And you might come across somebody who hasn't sold any of them,
right?
Their homes. But if they're motivated and they're in it for the right reason, that should be enough for you to work with them, because the truth of the matter is they're going to have mentors and coaches that are going to help navigate that process. But if they're going to give you the level of service that you deserve, then you can give them a shot. I would say another big one is, how do they approach their business, right? How do they communicate? Is it on a consistent basis? What are their core values? What do they have a family? Do they, what have they done in their past? Like understanding who they are as a person, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with these people. I guess the best way I could explain it is you're about to be in a marriage for a few months, like they're going to know everything about you. You're going to know everything about them. And I think that relationship needs to be a strong one, because you're going to be spending a lot of time with them. And so I would say, understanding the company they work for as well, like what type of support are they going to have, so that once you're under contract, are they going to be able to help you navigate the inspection process? Do they have contractors that they can work with and recommend to you, right? Do they have people that they can recommend for homeowners insurance, right? Understanding what tools and resources they have to make sure that when you're navigating this, that they can help you get from point A to point B, and they're there for you the entire way.
I like that. What then, if you were an agent then, and well, you're an agent, but like if you were somebody other than you that's not as savvy or doesn't have like a coherent or inherent understanding of social media and content marketing, how would you recommend somebody do that proactively, an agent, so that they can communicate those values and that information to the people the right way?
I think it's through the power of story. Like being able to tell your story, or a story about why you got into, real estate, or, helping people see into your life. And, Gary Vee talks about documenting versus creating, right? You can document your story as you've become a new agent. So maybe it's the first week that you're in the office and you're documenting every day that you're going in, who you're learning from, what you've done that day. Like let people into your life so that they can see that you're putting in the work to become better. But also don't be afraid to share like your struggles and your successes, and, let people see that, because that makes you a real person to them. versus just, I'm Sergio, the real estate agent. I think if you went onto my social media profile, you get, he is a real estate agent, and that's obviously his career, but there's so many other things that you're going to get from that page that will give you a true understanding of who I am as a person. So for anybody who's trying to start to build that content, I would say just start small with telling your story. And the more you do it, the more creative that you'll be able to get.
I love it. And so you're just saying at the end of the day too, just be authentic.
Yeah.
No, what are you saying? You're saying just be authentic?
You're right. Like to be authentic, right? The hardest part for me creating some of this content is I'm still trying to find my voice, and the feedback that I get from my friends and my family are like, yeah, that's you. And it sounds like you, but that's not, that's not all the way you.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And like, if I go back and listen to it, I'm like, okay, I see what you're saying. So it takes time to get comfortable and to find your voice. It's not that it wasn't authentic, but you turn a camera on like we are right now, and all of a sudden, like, sometimes your voice goes up a couple octaves, or sometimes you use words that you don't normally use. And so I think it's just getting comfortable behind, in front of the camera.
No, I feel that. I served and I bartended for a decade, and that for me, like I'm not saying I'm great at this, but we do run like a little photo and video company too. So it's a little bit easier for me to just do this, but that was hard for me jumping in when I first started serving, especially when I got to a really nice restaurant, best place I ever worked at in my life. I actually just shared something about it on my social media, popped in. Today was the first day, so it'd be like my anniversary of working at this place back 8 years ago was when I started there. I was scared shitless. I worked in all these other restaurants, but nobody took it seriously. And then I went to this place. It was like good food, great quality, like such a high expectation. And for like the first like month and a half, I was stuttering and stuff like that when I went out to the tables. Yeah. But yeah, no, I think that's going back to what you said about documenting versus creating. That's the Gary Vee way. That's just life in general, though. That's what I learned at the tables, was that you have servers, and I think it's applicable across any type of customer service relationship. But what I translated from there was, you have the servers that will go out and they have that face, and some of them have a great face that they put on that they've honed and they've mastered over 15 years of being in the industry, right? And I'm sure it's the same with real estate agents. I'm sure it's the same with car salesmen, insurance, like everybody. But for not those people, because there's only a handful of them that are actually mastered it. Everybody else is either pretending to be somebody else or they're just being themselves. And when you look at it and you just analyze it, sale over sale or deal over deal, you'll realize that the ones that are the most successful are the ones that are just themselves, because they don't have to think about what they're trying to say or how they're trying to appease somebody. They're just doing it. They're talking the way they would normally talk. And if the person they're talking to doesn't vibe with it, that's cool. They're not going to change themselves because the next person is going to probably have a better fit. I don't know. It's sales. It's exciting.
Yeah. I had a very interesting realization the other day of why real estate is so easy. And the reason it got so easy is that I'm not trying to sell anybody. I'm not trying to close, as they say, anybody. My job is just to be the conduit to their journey. So if they find a home that they love, my job is to do everything I can, within reason, obviously, to make sure that they get that home and to give them the information that they need to make an educated decision. My job is not to convince them to love a home, because they are going to know more than they'll know first before I do. Conversely, when it comes to selling a home, my job is to sell the home, but I use a system and a process to do that I can execute repeatedly on. So that's the easy part. My job is never to sell anything except myself and my skill set.
Boom. That's it. You're just, people know who you are. They know what you do. They just got to find the right fit.
Yeah.
That's it. So let me see. I got a couple notes here. Specific questions. We've already covered, how long have you been doing real estate? I don't think I actually know specifically how long have you been doing this?
So full time, I've been doing it for 28 months.
Okay.
So
that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
So how was it? How was the growth stage for you? Like from when you first start, how hard was it that first 12 months, that first 18 months, or how easy was it for you?
Well, the first 7 months I didn't sell a home.
Okay.
So it was pretty brutal because I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any, structure. I had just gotten out of the military and a 9-to-5 job. So I was lacking a lot of structure. And as an agent, you got to figure out what things that you need to do to put points on the scoreboard. And by that, I mean creating relationships and filling your pipeline and stuff like that. And so for the first 7 months, I didn't sell a home. And then for the first calendar year, right, I sold 31 homes, I got Rookie of the Year with an 8Z. So it progressively got very busy once I was able to put some structure in my own life and create it for myself that allowed me to be productive.
Okay. And so that probably reflects back on the whole CrossFit thing too, and disciplining yourself and developing a structure, especially out of nothing to, so what did you do then specifically to go from, like, what was that gear change? What was that shift? What did you implement that took you from nothing to actually Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. Well, first I hired a coach, who I'm still with today. And I think that was huge because it gave me the framework of, how to put my day in place. But I mean, my day starts really early. I get up at 4 a.m. every day, to get my workout in, to get my meditation in, to get my reading in, to get my journaling in. And then by that time, when it's all done, I mean, I'm ready to go. Like, I feel good. I've done everything I need for myself so that now I can give back to other people. And I get into the office usually around 8. And that's when I start to do my prospecting where, I'll be calling, friends in my phone. I'll be calling people that are, in my CRM that maybe I met at an open house or I got from Zillow or whatever the case may be. And that usually goes from about 8 to 11. So I'm making phone calls, sending texts, sending emails, just following up with people and trying to have one-on-one conversations. And then from 11 to noon is when I'm starting to do my lead follow-up. And that's where, if I met somebody and they're interested, I'll follow up with them to check in to see how they're doing. Or if I have a client that's under contract, I'll give them an update that day. But that's what I usually do for about 30 minutes to an hour. And then after that, right from 8 to noon, if I've done all that, the rest of the day is really for me to figure out what I want to do either in my business or in my life.
Wow.
And that's when I started to really get into the social media, right? Like heavily. Like I started social media because I love to be the center of attention. I've loved that since I was a kid. But I've also realized like social media is a really powerful tool to connect with people and to build top of mind awareness. And so I think when you have a multidimensional approach with phone calls and direct human interaction, you have some type of marketing that's like mailers or emails, and then you have social media. I think it's like this trifecta of just like different ways to connect with people. And I think that's what really, helped me be successful in my first year, but even more so in my second year.
Wow. So, and I'm sure that you noticed at least that it kind of like builds on itself. Like the more time that you spend on social media, the less that you ultimately have to do as you continue to go forward. You still have to do a lot, but in terms of like the actual hit the ground, if you're trying to build your profile out, if you're trying to build an audience, you have to spend a lot of time those first 4 months, 6 months creating content, engaging with people. Eventually, though, you get to that point where you understand what you need to be talking about. You know what you need to be creating. You know what you need to be doing. So tell me, like, what tactics then have you found with social media specifically, since that seems to be like a huge driving force for you? Like what tactics have you found that like really just worked in one way, shape, or form, and realize too that working is subjective to whatever your goal is. So it might just be having conversations with people that you feel represent or can help pull out your personality or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I would say for me, not kind of to peel back what you said earlier about the 4 months, I look at this as like a 5 to 10 year plan.
Nice.
Right? My job is to continue to put out stuff that's valuable to people, and engage with people on social media for the next 5 to 10 years. Like that's how I'm going to continue to build my personal brand. What works for me is, and this is the hard part, is posting consistently, right? But figuring out a balance of content, right? It's real estate, it's mindset, it's inspirational stuff, because that's just me. Like that's what I've gone through my own struggles, and I want to share those. And then the big part that I found to be really successful is engaging with people when they comment. Like for me, I think that what's lost the most is if somebody's going to take a moment to like your photo or your video or to comment, like you need to understand, like they cared enough to say something. And if you don't respond, like that says a lot. Yeah. So I go in there and like last night or yesterday was my birthday, and people were sending me messages, and I responded to every single one of them, not only in my text messages, but also on Facebook. And it wasn't just like a thumbs up. It was like, thank you, Julie. I really appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Like it was something about them. And I think that engagement's super important, because if not, then people are just going to tune out.
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I think has been really helpful is just being authentic. Like there's a level of vulnerability when you put things out there, you know, and just being okay with whatever happens. Cause, you know, I'll put stuff out about my personal life and I'll get some comments. Some are positive, some are negative. And it's just, you got to be okay with it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But being authentic to whoever you are and whatever your story is, I think is really important. And that's a constant iteration. That's a constant, you know, recalibration, because you might put something out there and you're like, that's not how I meant to say it. That's not the message I wanted to deliver. And you have to redo it. That's really, you know, authentic to the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes time.
Well, and you got to be true to yourself. You have to know what you actually care about. And like that's, I think, why we see so many people that are just like killing it on social media. Some people are really fake people. Like that's why they're really good at being fake. Like that's one part of it. But the authentic people that are actually like you, that, you know, you're going to continue to produce no matter what. That's the key to it. And if you want to talk about it on a technical side, you know, that is the key to it. There's the algorithms are constantly chewing up the content that we give them. A lot of people don't realize it, but you know, as a consumer, you're the end user of the profile or of the platform. But when you're creating content, you're a publisher. So once you get into that content creation mode, you're competing against all the other content creators. It's the same with SEO, right? Like everybody's publishing stuff. Now, if you can post more often and stay on track and talk consistently about whatever it is, then that's what actually matters at the end of the day. So that's where, you know, and I was having this conversation with my cousin yesterday. She's on TikTok now. She works for Oculus. She's, you know, working for Facebook. She's working from home. She's bored as hell. So like she's been playing with TikTok, and she's really funny. Like she's just taking like skits from like Friends and stuff like that, and then just like doing the voiceover mock-ups, you know, back and forth. She loves it. She's over 1,000 followers, or she's getting close to 1,000 followers now. And she's just having fun with it. And so I had that conversation with her, and that's one of the things where I was just talking about, you know, the authenticity. Just create, like, just know who you are, understand like who, just, you don't have to go super deep into it. Just think about like, who do you actually want to talk to, and why should that person be interested in hearing what you have to say? And, you know, and if you can just understand that, and it doesn't have to be, you know, Bob is 55 living in Seattle, but when you think about it, like, you know, other people that have gone through a similar situation, or other people that are, you know, whatever that relationship is, that's where the money's at. And if you could constantly come at it and just produce more, so many people think like, oh man, I made a video yesterday and only 5 people commented on it, or whatever it is. Well, probably only 100 people saw it versus the hundreds of thousands of people that could be seeing it. And you can't get it out there though, because you're not producing enough content in the first place to even let the platform know who the heck you are, what you're about. So getting over that first hurdle of just creating and knowing that that's the right thing to do. And like you said, you got a 5 to 10 year plan. So that doesn't even matter. Like I put this analogy as in like, you're a boat coming out of a marina or something like that. Your goal is way over there, but like you've got a lot of little turns and little things that you got to do in the meantime. And if you just stay focused on that long-term goal, all of this little stuff that you're doing right now doesn't even matter, because you're going way, way, way out there with it. So I don't know. I really, I don't know. That's how I feel about content marketing. That's my little analogy there.
Yeah. I think it's just one of those things where my advice that I give, because I'm a real estate coach, right? So for 8Z and for a national company.
Oh, wow. In 28 months, you said? And you're coaching now?
Yeah. I've been coaching in some form or fashion my entire life. And so like real estate, right? Like you get the foundational stuff, and not that I'm not trying to continue to build my own thing, but I feel like I can help people in a certain way. And if you can teach it, it means you're a proficient in it. So
exactly
what I tell them with social media is the number one piece of advice I'm going to give, or 2 things I'll give you, is consistency and patience. Like if you have those, you can't lose.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's the truth. Yeah.
You're posting, and then be patient that if you do the right things, that one day it'll pay off, whatever that payoff means.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And just understanding that getting into it and getting into it for the right reasons, I think is really what matters too. You know what I mean? That's why you'll see, I mean, it's one of those agnostic things in life. Like it doesn't matter what industry you look at. You look at people that get a job as a doctor and then they become a bartender after 5 years because they're just like, yeah, that money's good, but I hated it. So it's kind of the same thing. So like, tell me real quick then, as we're winding down, I know we were talking earlier a little bit about coaches and well, not just coaches, but like social media in general, and people on social media. Who do you follow? Like, you were talking about positive mindset content. You were talking about, the CrossFit, the health, obviously the real estate. We don't want to post the same thing every single time. So who do you follow outside of just, other real estate agents on social media?
Yeah, I honestly don't even follow real estate agents.
There you go. So then
yeah, I feel like, listen, you can't be me and I can't be you. So I'll go look at some of the agents from time to time if they pop up in my feed, but like I'm not following a whole lot of people.
That's money. What about gurus like Gary V, Dennis Yu, Gary Keller?
I just like his general empathy and like his kindness. And like the message, like obviously his format of putting stuff out. That's that's where I got a lot of this from, right?
Just document.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, The Rock, just his work ethic, I think is incredible. The way he handles things. One of the things that I took from him was he had his release of his tequila and it coincided with the pandemic and he had this whole marketing plan, but he was able to read the room and adjust accordingly. And I think that says a lot about who he is as a person. His ability, right? Our job is to be able to read the room and pivot. And so I was like, cool, I'm not going to talk about real estate for the next 6 weeks during the thick of this thing. And I'm just going to focus on supporting local businesses, talking about mindset and being a positive light in people's lives.
Wow.
That was a big one. Some of the other ones, I follow a couple of the professional CrossFitters like Matt Frazier. He's I just think his story is cool, right? Like he lost in the final and came in second, and he was so close. And he said the best thing that ever happened to him was him losing that, because he had all these bad habits that he had to shake. Because if he didn't and he had won, then he would have just thought that you can, kind of just, throw it against the wall and it's going to work. But what he realized is like, if you want to be the best and you want to be a champion at something, you have to calibrate it. And so for me, that message, when I heard that, I was like, that's how I want to approach my business and my life. And then a lot of it's just, I've gotten on TikTok. I spend a lot of time on TikTok now, and it's purely just because of my ability to be creative and be fun on there, and just try different things, because it's the Wild West and you can pretty much do whatever you want. So, it's a fun way to just get creative, because that skill set will transfer over to everything else.
No, for sure. I love the way you say it's the Wild West, because that's what I say about digital marketing in general. Like right now there's rules, but there's not as many as there will be in the future. Right. Oh man. Well, I guess, is there anything else specifically that you want to talk about that you got on your mind?
I would just say because we have talked pretty heavily about social media and content, I would say, just like in every arena in life, find somebody that you want to benchmark yourself against and look at what they do and how they do it, and then steal it. And I'm not saying steal their content, but steal their work ethic and how they approach it and make it your own voice. Because if you can find somebody that you look up to and you can have like a guiding light, I think it helps make this a lot easier.
That's a really good tip. I really appreciate that. No, for sure. Well, then who do you look up to?
Yeah, I think the ones that I just mentioned, right? Gary V,
okay.
Rock, Matt Frazier, those guys are great.
So you put yourself up there, like connect on that rail and try to stay parallel with that, with like Gary V and stuff.
Yeah, I'm putting out two pieces of content, or at least 2 posts a day across all social platforms.
Nice.
Along
with ones?
Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, right? So we have those, and then Twitter.
And TikTok, or are you just chilling on TikTok?
TikTok for me is just like, I'm on there, like
you're scoping, playing around.
I make some funny videos, right? But it's not as consistent. Because like I was going to do real estate videos on there. I was like, I don't want to do real estate videos on here. I'm just going to have fun.
Yeah.
But then I have all the stories that I put up, right? And, I put up my gratitude posts every day and my workout that I do every day. And so like, I would say in any given day, I'm probably putting up 20 to 30 posts, right?
Righteous.
So, and for me, it's like, I finally have gotten to a point where that feels comfortable. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to turn that up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe go to 3 and see, figure out what that cadence feels like. And then once I can get comfortable at 3, go to 4, because, the algorithms protect the consumer, not the creator. And so for me, it's like, I'm going to throw this out there. Some people will see it. Some people won't, right? But I have to get enough out there to at least have a chance.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a great. I love that you said that too. That's money in the bank. Absolutely. Like if anybody takes anything away from this, like please take that away. Like the algorithms don't care about you as a creator. They care about the people that are consuming content. Yeah. And if you can understand that before anything, like just get out of your head that there's a perfect hack to create content that'll get your video viral. Like that's impossible. It's not 2001. This isn't Google. And no. So that's great. No, I appreciate you throwing that little tip out there. Yeah. Story wise, real quick, I want to know how many. You said that you were experimenting with that, and then we'll get off. I just got thinking about the stories there real quick. So how are you using stories, and how are you finding? Because that's a very important thing. I've been emphasizing for like daily content and tone of voice generating. Like use stories for a lot of the people that I do work with. For the portfolio post to the feed. You know what I mean? So how are you finding success with stories?
In my phone, anytime something comes to my head, whether it's about my past or something that happened to me today, or, I heard somebody else's story, I'll just take a note and put it down. Mm-hmm. I have a running list of videos and ideas. But for me, the power of storytelling is just telling stories, right? The only way for you to get better at it is to look at it and like to try it. And there's always a natural storyline, right? There's a natural arc of a story, and like understanding that format, like any movie you've ever seen, any story you've ever heard, all has the same arc. And like understanding that arc of the storyline and being able to just like hit on those points throughout your story, and just not even like super structured, just be aware of it, helps you communicate your story effectively so that people can digest it. Because people want to listen to stories, right? Everything we do is a story. Like a song is a story. A movie is a story. Your life is a story. So like if that's going to be the common ground, figure out how to tell the story and just practice it and just try it.
I like that, man. Well, hey, I think I'm pretty much, I've got all my questions asked, and I know that you've got a busy day. I want to touch base maybe in the future and talk a little bit more specifically about your mindset stuff, man. Hearing you talk about your morning routine and your ritual. I mean, I know I do that myself. People look at me weird when I tell them how early I wake up and the stuff that I try to do in the morning. So I feel like there's just so much power in a ritual and just consistently talking to yourself and clearing your mind and stuff. So I would love to have like a whole nother conversation just about that, because I feel like the professional or the effect that has on your professional life and your personal life is huge and massively impactful. So that's a whole nother conversation though. Yeah, we'll work on that. But I think, man, I think that's it. So I appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you, Dennis.
Hey, thank you so much, Sergio. Wait. Yeah, that's it. The end. Yeah. I was like, I'm sitting here just recording. Like I could stop whenever. So anyway, well, I appreciate you, dude. Seriously, we're done now. So have fun, do your thing. I'm gonna take this out. I'm gonna edit it. I'm gonna try to chop it up and spit something out within the next week or so. I'm really trying to get a backlog of these going so that once I could start dumping out little tidbits, releasing these videos on a weekly basis, and then eventually start broadcasting, because I would love to do like a Q&A or something with this, because not only can you push out to those platforms, it'll aggregate your contents from those platforms or comments from the platforms. Right. Yeah. Right here in my dashboard. So you could see from Facebook, from Twitter, when people are commenting, and you can have, real-time conversation back and forth. And just like I sent you a link, you can also send that. You can have up to 5 people jump in. So you could send out links for other people, say, hey, like you got a question, type your question in the comments. They type their question in. And then when you find a question that you really like, you could send that person a private link that they could click on and jump into the conversation and video.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's very cool. Check it out yourself.
I'm going to look into this because I think it's a great way to, I don't know. I like the format. I like how crisp the videos look. Like I think the quality looks better.
Oh, dude, yeah. And then I don't know if you saw earlier, like you can click buttons and have banners pop up on the bottom. Yeah. Like just like you can even do like this one right here. You can do tickers, and you can do and you can do those. Blop blop.
thing?
It's so it's $25 a month for the paid, but it's free if you're doing just to push to one platform.
Oh, okay.
And then you could do if you pay for it, you can upload a custom logo or an overlay. And so these are the ones that come with it. But like I'm going to create some for Denver Creative, once I have the name and everything perfected, that say that. And then the backgrounds too, you could change those. So basic stuff, you know what I mean? Like this is stuff that you could do that anybody could do with OBS Studio or with their own, on the back end. It takes a lot of time and energy though to do all that shit together. This is just like really easy, one click, shoot.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like this a lot. Like I think I'm gonna have to get in there right now. Like honestly, I've been trying to find people to interview, kind of like this. And I'm in like this rut right now where like I don't know what to produce for content. Like I'm straight up like I'm in a rut. And so like, I know what the hits are. I know how to do the hit posts. I got those down. But like now it's like I want to tell stories, but like I don't know what to tell a story about. So I'm in this rut. Like, all right, I got to get something out. And then that pressure turns into something else. So I told Steve, I was like, yo, bro, I think I'm gonna have to take a week off. Like I just need to clear my mind.
Just to think, yeah. Do you know who Dennis Yu is? All right, dude. So he's one of my favorite gurus. So like you got your intersection is content marketing. You like Gary Vee because of the story and the empathy, and then you like the CrossFit and stuff like that because that's like mindset, discipline stuff. So for me, Dennis Yu is he's a digital marketer that he's really focused on helping people start and succeed at running digital agencies. And his big thing is personal branding and execution through content. So it's like what Gary Vee talks about. It's the same thing Gary Vee talks about, but where Gary Vee comes to it from an empathetic point of view, where he's saying, just be yourself. Don't give a fuck about what anybody else has to say. Just be unapologetically you and just or document yourself as much as possible. Document your story. Dennis Yu says the same thing, but his thing is more along the lines of optimize for social media and figure out what your core story is. So he preaches this concept of developing a personal brand manager, which is really just a place where you can aggregate all of the stuff together that either like people, positive comments on social media from people that were responding to your content. So if somebody commented on YouTube or something like that, said your video was amazing or something like that, to keep all those together in one place, to get all of your reviews together, to get all of your shit together. It's a place to keep your content. And then you develop this topic wheel, which you take your six core topics. If you're doing personal branding, break it down between professional and personal. Okay. So things that matter to you, just to yourself, and things that matter in the professional life. Those 6 things will drive all of your content production going forward. So right now you've got your personal mindset and perspective content that you're creating, like like you said, the gratitude posts and stuff like that. You're creating some content around, your real estate. You're at least posting, when you have a contract closed and stuff like that. So add a few more things, think about it. So, obviously CrossFit, exercise, hiking, nature, I don't know, whatever it is, but find the connections and then find the people that are high authority on social media that are into those same things or are representative of them, right? So if you're talking about content marketing, your goal should be at one point in time to talk to Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Right? Like that should be like, you should somehow get there, but you can't get there now. You want to network your way into that. So that's what I've been doing for the last year and a half, specifically with Gary Vee. I've been making friends with all of his interns and all of his producers that I've seen. Every time I see a name on social media or I see somebody pop in, I'll go in, friend them on LinkedIn and start having private conversations. So I can start, because my goal is to start talking to them. I want to interview them. This is Gary Vee's live stream producer. This guy knows the ins and outs of the back end. That's my intersection of it, is the technical side, right? So do that a couple times, and now I have an into Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Right. A secondary connection. Same thing with you. So think about who is that high profile person that you want to get to, and then think of a couple people that you know or that you could easily get to know that it might be like a level above you that you can, climb up to and talk to them and use them to, in the same way that we're talking right now, use them to talk about you. You talk about them, they talk about you. You guys create content together. And as you continue to grow, you just, make those connections one at a time. You can also think about the people that are in the exact same spot as you. So that's one of the big driving forces of this content creation initiative for me, is to connect with other people who are either at the same exact place that I am, or like where I was 6 months ago.
Okay.
Because those are the people that are closest to me, that are still climbing, that are still doing it. And they're going to find value, because I'm not Gary Vee. I'm not unreachable. I'm not preaching platitudes. I'm preaching execution, and I'm showing you how I'm doing it. And I'm being real with it. Like that's one of the things that screwed me up for the first, so year and a half or so getting into digital marketing, was the perception that you have to be perfect. You have, what I mean? Like you have to have case studies and stuff like that. You don't, like you said in the video, like it shouldn't matter necessarily if you've done nothing or you've done a ton of stuff. What matters is if your heart's in the right place and you're concerned about it. Right. So for me, it took me forever. I thought that I just had to be a master at digital marketing, when really I have to be a master at understanding the problems that my clients face and figuring out the easiest way, given their bandwidth, to solve those problems.
Yeah.
That, and that's digital marketing. Mm-hmm. It's not being a master at Google Ads. So I think that's, if I was you, I would think about that. If you're struggling with creating content, the best way that you can do it is go interview somebody else that's either in your shoes or was in your shoes, and like talk to them about what they've done.
Yeah.
Same way we're doing this right here. I mean, because there's so many people that, just like you said, like we want to create content. This platform specifically enabled me the other day. I was just testing with it, and I threw a link out into one of my messenger groups with a bunch of video marketers that we have, like a private messenger group together. I was like, hey, found this new platform. If anybody wants to play along, I'm just chilling here. Yeah. Threw the link out, and one of my buddies jumped in, and we ended up having a 25-minute conversation about video marketing. And you know what I mean? And it was just so organic and authentic. We ended up having like 50 or 60 people watch it. And we didn't even plan on anything, it was just like floating around. So this by itself just makes it so much easier to be like, you know what? I want to go do a live stream right now. Let me text my friend and see if he wants to get on, and we can just sit down for 15 minutes and have a back and forth.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. If you want help though, or if you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out, because this is the thing that I love to. This is probably my favorite intersection of digital marketing, is content marketing, and actually figuring out what we can talk about and how we can talk about it and how we can present it. Right. So
thinking about even, after I close like a deal with another agent, doing an interview like this with them to talk about the experience working together. Like,
oh, for sure. That's a good co-marketing standpoint.
You know what I'm saying? Because like, I think that'd be cool. I definitely do all my client testimonials. I think that's always a fun one. They're always open to do it.
How do you do that? How do you execute on that? Like, do you just say, hey, do you guys mind making a video with me, or how do you?
Yeah. So it's purely leveraged, or it's purely dependent on how the transaction goes, which I haven't had really many bad ones. But if it goes well, I'll be like, hey, we're only a couple days away from closing. We're gonna be doing the final walkthrough. Would you guys do me a favor? And they're like, of course. What do you need? Right. So I just ask them, because I haven't asked for anything up to that point. And they're like, sure. And they're always open to it. I'm like, and listen, I'm like, it's just a conversation between the two of us. It's like, so if you say something that you don't want in there, I was like, we'll edit it out. And it always goes really well. And I always get really good, micro content from that I can post up on my platforms.
You need to take that personal brand manager idea then and employ it. Here, let me show you real quick. And I'm going to get off after this because I don't want to bug you, but I feel like you could really benefit from this. And you could also check this out. You ready to see this? You're like, what? And I'm going to be like, yeah, I know. I can screen share up in here. Yeah, I know. Let me refresh this real quick. So this is our personal brand manager that I'm building, and this is for the guys at the DCG. But this is obviously more focused on their business. They're not the Denver Creative Group is a company. It's not a person. So this is updated a little bit for them. But, the big thing is this review and praises page right here. I went ahead and created just a basic database of all of the actual content, the conversation. So not just an actual review on the website. Like I went to Google, I went to Yelp, I went to Facebook, anywhere that a review exists, took a screenshot of it, copied the text, took the picture of the person from the platform, just a basic picture, so I could throw it up on the website in a little circle. And so now I have all this here. I would do the same thing with you if you had, if you're aggregating that many reviews, and especially if you're being systematic with it, and you have a process where it's like, okay, now that we're getting ready to close and it's time to ask them if they want to do it. This could be an easy thing where you just take that, put it in there, and boom, it's centralized, and you can use it however you want to use it. You don't have to search, because I don't know what your process is right now. I don't know if you're just taking the videos and then putting them on Facebook and then letting them float around, or if you're actually like centralizing them. But this is something that's helped them out, and this is what Dennis Yu preaches. So I'll send you his link too, man. You just gotta check him out.
Okay.
He's super into just leveraging your personal brand the right way for social media, where Gary Vee says, don't worry so much about the algorithm. Dennis Yu says, care a little bit about it, but not too much. So you'll vibe on that.
I think that there's definitely parts of the algorithm you have to play into, right? There's no doubt about that. But I think it's doing a very little, right? Finding the right hashtags. I think the biggest part is the engagement. If somebody writes, you have to like and comment back. That's
what I was going to talk to you about earlier. I was going to comment back on that when you said that. That is, I found that to be one of the biggest things. I actually helped a friend make $5,000 on Facebook in a fundraiser, because just leveraging that idea where, okay, you've got somebody that, same thing with real estate. It's and any business. It's easier to take the people that have already done something and get them to do other things that might not be as valuable as that first thing, but are still valuable in the long term. Yeah. Right. So instead of just constantly focusing on people to give you money, I said, she in particular, she had a very high risk pregnancy, and the baby passed away after it was born, and all this. And she knew it probably would happen, but she needed money to drive back and forth in Maine. She lived 6 hours away from the doctor that she had to go to twice a month. So lots of travel and shit like that. And I said, get off of GoFundMe, leverage Facebook because it's native. I'll help you set it up, and here's what you need to say. And I said, every time somebody gives you money, take them and post about it on social media. Say, thank you so much, so-and-so, and comment back to them, send them a message, have gratitude, and then ask them, hey, listen, I know that you just gave me $100, $5, $10, whatever. And I appreciate that. And it would be really awesome if you could help us out just a little bit more. Can you take this link and can you share it with your friends and family? And can you just tell them why you did what you did? And I'm not going to tell you what to say, because a lot of times people say, well, what do you want me to say? And I'll post it. No, you got to say it from your own heart. You got to put it out there. Yeah. She reached her goal in less than a week and surpassed it just by executing on that. And then also telling people too, in the close circle, you don't have to give me money. It's more valuable if you share this with your network. Right. You only have 1,000 people in your network, but all those 1,000 people have 1,000 people in their network. That's That's the node. Exactly. So it's the same thing when you're engaging on social media. When somebody comments or even likes your post, go to their page, see what they got going on, and just say, look at their stuff. And since you have that time at the end of the day, if your day is executed nicely, it sounds like you're spending a good chunk of your day actually engaging on social media, not just posting content and looking to see if people are engaging to it, but actually posting a little bit of content and then going out, engaging with people that engage with you, and then searching for the shit and engaging with other people too.
My thought is, if somebody likes your photo, let's say I get 30 likes. Well, just 30 likes. Each one of those likes, I'm going to go to their page, right? And just like and comment on one of their photos. Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Especially if they comment on you, if they take the time out, not just to like, but when they go in and actually say something, yes, that person is taking actual time out of their Instagram scroll. I was talking to Dan yesterday, and I told him, I was like, bro, people on Facebook are going 1,000 miles an hour. When you look at that screen and when you're watching, and when people are in true consumption mode, they're just, You have to break that. And I was like, that's why for us right now, memes are helping just a little bit, because it's something that it's hey baby, you're good. It's something that people will naturally want. They'll consume it and they'll laugh about it. And if it's relevant to their intersection of life, then that's just, one positive signal, right? And you want a bunch of those little positive touch points. So right now we can stop people. It's hard as hell. And I was trying to tell him yesterday, like, you can't just advertise and say, hey, book it with us now, right, to a cold audience, because that's going to scare most people. And not only that, especially what I've realized about real estate agents is when you guys are chilling, when you guys are at home, or when you're scrolling through Facebook, you aren't necessarily wanting to think about work as much as you are trying to escape from that. If you want to talk about professional stuff, you're probably going to go spend more time on LinkedIn. If you know what I mean, not saying everybody's the same, but that's where, we don't just want to talk just about business on Facebook. So I don't know how I segued into that, but
you made a really good point. It's easy to get overwhelmed because there's so many things that you can be doing, right? And that's what I posted about yesterday. I'm like, my biggest issue is one, self-judgment, but the question is, the biggest one is, am I doing enough?
Mm-hmm.
And that's, for me, it's like, you have all these things where, how do you capture somebody? Okay, but how do you stay authentic? Okay, but how do you stay engaged? How do you, and it's like, do a few things really well and then start to iterate. And that's it.
Yeah. Check out Digital Marketer. They got a really good thing about breaking down your content based on the specific stage of the customer journey. And it's not the typical awareness, consideration, conversion customer journey that everybody says. It's broken down based on social media. So it's awareness, engagement, subscription, which is just getting permission to talk about business, and then that conversion, right? So that core right there, if you focus on creating a bunch of content just on developing awareness, so the memes, the pictures that are more existential than anything else, and then content that is specifically designed to be engaging. So the videos with the clickbaity titles that are still full of value, that are still, a little bit more clickbaity in nature, they're designed to get engagement from the people that have just figured out who you are. So you're constantly moving these people, and there's constantly content that you're producing that will mean something to the right person when they get to that stage.
Yeah.
Right. So if you got a blog, like, that's where you can use the subscription stage. You can engage with people on social media through the awareness and the engagement stage of content. And after they've engaged with you a handful of times, you can say, here, read the full blog post, right? Yeah. Like this video right here, for instance, like, I'm going to take this, I'm going to create a blog post out of it. I'm going to listen to the notes. I'm going to write down stuff. I'm going to create a basic blog post out of it at the end of the day. I'm going to take excerpts from this, just like you are, and serve them up as individual pieces of content, 30 seconds, 45 seconds here and there. Those are going to help in the awareness and the engagement stage. And then there's going to be that link that says, hey, you want to see the rest of it, go to the blog. By the time that they go to the blog, then you could say, hey, if you enjoy this, join our newsletter.
Yeah.
Hit the newsletter, by that time, that's done the right way. Most marketers will just be like, join the newsletter to everybody. And then, and they're really not doing anything. If you use content to segment your audience, and that's where the money's at. And just, like I said, stay focused on, this is for awareness, this is for engagement, and this is for subscription. After subscription happens, now you can talk to them one-on-one. You could send them emails, and then you can stop having those salesy conversations on social media. So many people will be like, hey, if you got any questions, don't forget, you can still book me. Most people know that they could book you because you're a real estate agent, and it says so in your title. So it's too redundant. If you say that too much, it's very redundant. There's nothing wrong with saying, hey, hit me up if you got questions, as long as it's contextual. If you do it this way, then everybody in that list is at least semi-qualified and ready to talk about marketing or about, not, for me, it's marketing. For you, it's real estate. Yeah. Right. So you can have a nice email list, and you can remarket to those people on Facebook if you get savvy. That's where you don't have to worry about custom or special ads categories. Yeah. Right. That's got to be one of the biggest fucking things that I've heard real estate agents complain about when it comes to advertising on Facebook in general, is how do I do this? How do I get around this special ads category thing? So that's one way right there. You can have an email list of people that have specifically said, yes, I want to talk to you more about marketing or about the business, and I want to get marketing communication from you. Facebook lets you market to them. You can segment that shit hardcore, and you don't have to worry about discriminatory practices when it comes to your advertising, because those people specifically said they want to hear from you.
That's great. Okay.
Yeah. If you want more help with that, let me know.
Oh, for sure, man.
I got you on that, man. I appreciate you again. Thank you so much. And we'll stay in touch, man. I'll let you know when I roll this stuff out.
Cool. Yeah. And whenever you want to do that mindset one, just let me know.
Dude, for sure. You let me know what your cadence is and how much content you want to produce, and we'll see how we can work that into this.
All right, man. I appreciate you.
No problem. Later, dude.
Hey.
Bye. Woo!